Check, check. Check 1, 2. That sounds better.
Good evening, everybody. Isn't it amazing to be here together? Woo! Yay. We're going to do a couple of songs to start off the program.
Yeah, introduce Todd.
Oh, there's a new band member. Okay. Way over on the other side is Todd.
We should tell the story. So Todd is a neighbor of mine, and so over the last decade, a few times, just neighborhood, somebody pulls out a guitar and Todd, shows up with a drum set. And that happened several times, and then there was another group that tried to do something a little more organized, and there's like 5 guys that show up with a guitar, and Todd shows up with a drum set. And somehow, in that time period and getting to know Todd, I realized that he played with Richard like for a decade. Like when? Back in?
Longer than that.
All through the 80s.
We met in our 20s and played in a band together for about 25 years.
25.
So anyway, now that we've solved that web,
I'm actually
yeah.
He's family. He's one of us. Yes.
Totally
We're glad
family.
you're
So
here.
anyway, he's got 2 ties to this, and it's been fun to have him join in.
And then anybody who's new, I'm Brenda. This is Travis.
I'm Colin.
And Richard.
Richard.
Hey, with a monkey.
And we're the jam band, and that's just because we can't think of a name. And we jam, and so that's the name. But we met all here at church. Plus Todd.
You ready?
Yeah, let's go. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living life today. Imagine there's no countries. Isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Ooh. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one.
may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. Wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Thank you.
Okay, I heard a few singing along. That is encouraged. You should be doing that. Including on the next one, an Indigo Girls song. You can dance, you can sing, you can clap. That's good. Trying to tell you something about my life. Maybe give me insight between black and white. And the best thing you ever done for me is to help me take my life less seriously. It's only life after all. Yeah. Well, darkness has a hunger that's insatiable, and lightness has a call that's hard to hear. I wrap my fear around me like a blanket. I sailed my ship of safety till I sank it. I'm crawling on your shore. And I went to the doctor, and I went to the mountains. I looked to the children, I drank from the fountains. There's more than one answer to these questions, pointing me in a crooked line. And unless I seek my source, closer I am to find, yeah. Closer I am to find, yeah. Well, I went to see the doctor of philosophy, with a poster of Rasputin and a beard down to his knees. He never did marry or see a B-grade movie. He graded my performance. He said he could see through me. I spent 4 years prostrate to the higher mind, got my paper and I was free. And I went to the doctor, and I went to the mountains. I looked to the children, and I drank from the fountains. There's more than one answer to these questions, pointing us in a crooked line. And the less I seek my source, definitive, closer I am to find, yeah. Closer I am to find, yeah. I stopped by a bar at 3 a.m. to seek solace in a bottle or possibly a friend. I woke up with a headache like my head against a board, twice as cloudy as I'd been the night before, and I went in seeking clarity. I went to the doctor, and I went to the mountains, and I looked to the children, and I drank from the fountains. Yeah, we go to the doctor, we go to the mountains, we look out to the children. We drank from the fountains. Yeah, we go through the Bible. We go through the workout. We read up on revival. We stand up on the lookout. There's more than one answer to these questions, pointing me in a crooked line. And the less I seek my source, closer I am to find. Closer I am to find. Closer I am to find. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Get another round of applause for our wonderful in-house band. I want to say, like, it is so good to be together, to take out some time and just to have our annual big event come back after 2 years of hiatus. So this is my first big event with you because I didn't get to have one last year or the year before. And I've been given the task of kicking us off after the band, which is a little challenging since they're so good. So tonight's program is going to feature not only more music from our band, but also from David Lane. There will be words from our board president, Sophia, and Scott has some delightful offerings for us, and then there is a skit as well, which I will try to get through without cracking up too much. So just an invitation this morning, the big event is a celebration of our pledge drive, and for those of you who maybe are somewhat new to Unitarian Universalism, our congregation is part of the free church tradition, which means that we're completely self-governed by the democratic process. And one of the privileges of being a free church is that we provide all of the financial support for our many ministries on our own for ourselves. And so generosity, therefore, is one of our core values as a congregation, and we recognize that as central to our personal and our institutional well-being. So when we give to this community, we give because we know that giving really matters. It aligns us not only personally with our values and our principles, but it provides continuity of care for those Unitarian Universalists that have not yet walked through our doors, but will in the coming days, weeks, months, and decades. So thank you to each of you for being here tonight, for being a part of this community, for welcoming me as your minister these last 19, 20 months. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so excited to have the big event and to actually feel like a regular minister. So I just want to say one more thing about the pledge drive and remind you that even though many of you have already filled out your pledge forms, there is no maximum gift. There's no maximum gift. You can always change it and go higher. There's no minimum gift either, in case you were wondering, but there's definitely not a maximum gift. And the threshold that I invite you to consider if you are open to changing your pledge is to give from a place that's a little bit painful, just a little bit painful, because that's how we get to stretch our community to give even more to the community. And tithing is, I know, sometimes a complicated proposition in a community that is surrounded by the other Vatican in the world. But remember that we're giving to the free church community, to a community that is founded in that quest for spiritual depth and freedom, and where we will walk with you, no matter what flavor your spirituality takes in the many decades that you're part of this community. So thank you for your gifts of your time, your talent, and your treasure. This community is enriched by each of you, and we are a better place because you are here. So with that, let us light our chalice. Can I have someone do the matches for me? Because I'm not sure I can do matches and microphone at the same time. So these child sighting words are not our usual words. I'm going to change it up. These are by Cynthia Landrum. And she writes, as we kindle this flame, may it spark in each of us connection and commitment to this living tradition and to each other. So let us continue our celebration. I'm going to pass it over, I think, to Sophia now.
So I was asked to speak a few words today, but unfortunately I can't remember what it was, what those 3 words that Dumbledore said was. I'm going to actually have to talk about what we did as a board. So what is it like being on the board for these last 2 years? This is specifically what I was asked to talk about. And for me, it's a labor of love, right? It's working in a way as a group of people that we support one another to help smooth the ministry of this church. When I stepped onto the board, I felt it was like one of the most darkest times ever, right? It was, you know, we came into this under one minister, we came out under another, and now we're living in the light. You know, this is a beautiful, beautiful vision for me. So at the time, our decisions on the board, what we needed to smooth. So the board is responsible for overseeing how we basically provide and allocate funds and policy and in general support the ministries and all the different committees that make up the ministries of this church. We're there to try to be enablers, right? To try to make things happen and to remove barriers. And one of the things that we look toward is actually the budget. What are the pledges? What can we do with those budgets that help support the mission of this church, and what is our mission? So a couple of years ago, when we started on the board, we sat there and said, what are the things that we need to do in the midst of this pandemic? And we realized we needed to maintain connectivity, right? We need to make sure that we look toward any forms of burnout that may be occurring because these were hard times. And the final thing that we looked at is we still wanted to make sure that we had room for spiritual growth, that we could actually tap into something and support each thing. So we dedicated every single one of our meetings to those particular aspects. But we also were thinking, okay, now we have this pandemic that's coming across the world. 2-3 months, we'll be out of this, no problem. 2 or 3 months later, fortunately, we have a task force that we could rely on because we were not medical experts on the board. They're saying, okay, let's make these policy changes, right? It'll be another 2 months, 3 months, we'll be out of this, no problems. Well, this continued on, I guess, what was it, 1.5 years? But during that time, we were also constantly looking forward. We knew that someday we would come out of this pandemic. And we started planning for those moments. We started looking at some of the unfulfilled promises that had been made, like the playground. And when we got the request to finish up the playground, get the sidewalks and everything done, I said, this is no better time than to go ahead and take care of that. We started looking at the lessons that we were learning from having gone to Zoom meetings and going to hybrid and realizing that there is a place, right, to continue to keep some form of electronic service for our congregation. And then we also started realizing we had to cut staff at the beginning because there was no way that we could continue moving forward. But then we started realizing now we can start growing our staff. Now we can start putting more people in place. But in order to keep maintaining that staff, again, we're going to need the funds. And the funds, right, we don't get the funds from elsewhere. We grow our own funds. We provide to this church. We give of our time, our talent, and our treasure. And, you know, I'm giving a little bit more this year than I normally do, that I've done in prior years. And if you find it within you to give more, this is a good time to do so. Let's grow this church. Let's make this a more wonderful, loving community, right? And let's continue to support each other and our ministries. Thank you.
I want to invite David and the band back up for some more music for us.
Check, check.
Original David Lane music.
You don't know that. This could be awful. So I wanted to do something that was at least a little bit connected. So this first one is called "Down to the River," and well, let's go down, I guess. I went down to the river. I cast my lot into its flow. Heard no flight of angels sing as the water brushed my toe. So I climbed the sacred mountain, saw the river far below. The howling wind did chill my bones, but his garden refused to grow. Lost, 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 am I lost here in the wilderness, seeking shelter in a world wretched excess? I can't find meaning in my days, way to express. Lord, I'm lost, lost, lost. Went to school a dozen years, and I went back a dozen more, and I can't say that I had any truth to offer up for sure. Nothing learned in dusty halls, learned no secret and no cure, and nothing in ivory towers to open up his door. Lost, 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 am I lost here in the wilderness, seeking shelter in a world wretched excess? I can't find meaning in my days, way to express. Lord, I'm lost, lost, lost. And then there is my music. There has got to be a way for these damn strings to offer up something I could say, something that was clear and pure, something that I could play and you could dance or sing along. Maybe grace might come my way. Lost, 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 am I lost here in the wilderness, seeking shelter in a world wretched excess? I can't find meaning in my days, way to express. Lord, I'm lost, lost, lost. Lost, lost. lost? Am I lost here in the wilderness, seeking shelter in a world of wretched excess? I can't find meaning in my days, way to express. Lord, I'm lost, lost and lost. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
It's up to David.
You know, I don't trust myself. My brain, I probably forget the words. So this next one is my very latest. It's available wherever you get your electronic music, Apple, whatever the whatever all that stuff is. And there's a line in it that talks about ski pop, and I brought an example of ski pop. So ski is like one of those super localized kind of thing. If you ever heard of like cheer wine or RC cola or those kinds of things, that's what it's like.
From your hometown.
From my hometown. Yeah. Well, from near me. My hometown isn't near big enough to support something like that, but that's what we all drank. Down in the bottom, neath a bridge out of town, raccoon is rising, blood's going brown, swamps in the lowlands, east of the mill, have crested the road, and the rains falling still. Got nothing but trouble, slow burning fry, black water rising, drown out the night. Peoples are doing their best to keep up. Spring coming early with skeeters and muck. I remember the rain that's on my mind. Waterlogged pictures drowning in time. I remember the places God in my dreams, till my breath is stilled. Oh, so it seems. Neighbors are thinking that Powder Plan Road is passable still if you're lucky they're told. I ain't going nowhere, I'm settled in tight. Got a bottle of ski and I'm out for the night. Clouds in the morning are settling low. The town of Zaleski is quiet and slow. Here on the hill, you can see the world sleep. And off toward MacArthur, the water got deep. I remember the rain that's on my mind. Waterlogged pictures drowning in time. I remember the places God in my dreams till my breath is stilled. Oh, so it seems. Thanks, everybody.
We're in the music union. We have to take a break every 2 songs.
Another round of applause for our band. Thank you so much for being with us. So, funny story. I started writing this speech more than 2 years ago. For those of you who have been around at least that long, you might recall the timeline of what took place in March of 2020. We had just launched that year's pledge drive, and then literally the week before the big event was scheduled to take place, we were forced to shut down all of our planned in-person gatherings. I had agreed to write the portion of the presentation that has often been referred to as the roast, and I had made my first efforts at it before circumstances made finishing it unnecessary. Last year, once again, no big event, so no need to think about writing any speeches. Then imagine my surprise when I sat down to begin this year's speech and discovered a file from 2020 with a whole bunch of stuff I'd already written. Now, I don't know how many of you are writers, but I assure you it was the creative equivalent of when you put on your winter coat for the first time in the season and find that you left some cash in one of the pockets. For you younger people, cash is a way that people used to pay for goods and services. The interesting thing was that a lot of that material was actually still applicable. Keep in mind, this was stuff that was written pre-COVID, pre-Zoom church, pre-outdoor services, pre-reopening, pre-reclosing, pre-reopening. Yet somehow, remarkably, some things just remained the same. And I find that reassuring and comforting. We are who we are, and a little thing like a global pandemic wasn't going to disrupt the fundamental identity of this community. Now, I do want to address the matter of calling this portion of the big event a roast. I'm not entirely comfortable with that word as a noun because I grew up in the 1970s and I have a very specific association with it. Again, for you younger folks, I want to take you back to a time when anything that involved a large number of famous people on television at the same time was a really big deal. So periodically, there would be these shows called celebrity roasts, usually hosted by Dean Martin. Again, sorry, younger folks. Dean Martin was an entertainer who, at least in the 1970s, was mostly famous for people openly making fun of the fact that he had a drinking problem. It was a different time. These celebrity roasts would involve a famous person as the guest of honor, and a bunch of comedians would take turn mocking that guest of honor and wait for the chance to get up at the end, and they would have to sit there and smile and wait for the chance to mock those who had been mocking them. And because these were famous and wealthy people, I suppose you could call that punching up, but it was all based on the idea that there are things about people that are their weakest, most sensitive points, and everybody knew what those sensitive points were and was going to make sure that the target knew that they knew as well. Everybody involved in the celebrity roast pretended it was in good fun, but they weren't kidding anybody. It was about laughing at someone, at their weight, at their ethnicity, at their sketchy relationship history, at their cosmetic surgery, at their obvious hairpiece. It was cruelty posing as entertainment. And that's just not the way that I like to think about my interactions with the people here. Which isn't to say that I haven't bumped heads with other members of this community on occasion. And if I really put my mind to it, there are ways I could turn people into punchlines, because I see things and I remember things. But I also try to reach for the better angels of my nature and maybe not feel like I'm undercutting all the things we mean each Sunday when we say you are welcome here no matter who you are, and no matter how you screwed up that one time that everybody remembers. So I'm not going to roast anyone. I am going to acknowledge that sometimes we have to laugh at ourselves, because the alternative is burying your face in your hands and groaning. And after 2 years, we all know that we're supposed to avoid touching our faces. For example, my family has been coming to South Valley for more than 20 years. I've seen a lot of things here, but not once in 20 years have I seen the Sunday collection taken in the same way from one week to the next. It's deep in my soul. I feel like this should not be a complicated thing. 3 sections usually, 3 people, stay in your lane, easy peasy. Instead, baskets end up getting passed to the same row twice, or to other rows not at all. I see someone frantically waving a $20 bill, begging for us to take their money. Everyone who takes on this task, including our desperately overstretched board members, means well. I'm sure of it. And every single week, it's like those little baskets develop a mind of their own. And then there are the weeks when the person who has put together the worship service dares to venture into the most perilous territory of all, having us learn a new song. Now, UUs are not necessarily known for tearing into their hymns with hallelujah in their hearts. It's like we're a little too pragmatic and sensible to get carried away by the Spirit, however you might define it. But at least with familiar songs, we know the notes and when to turn the page. There is a lot of musical talent in this congregation. We hear it on a regular basis. We're hearing it tonight. We hear it from Rick, from John, from guest performers, from the choir. They're just not enough to carry those of us who see an unfamiliar song in the order of service and suddenly lose all sense for the fundamentals of how music works, assuming we ever knew in the first place. And that is saying nothing of the pain I feel for the Spanish-speaking members of our congregation who have to listen to our earnest attempts at pronouncing the Spanish verse of De Colores. So we're not perfect, far from it, but we're still here. still supporting this community with our time, our talent, and our treasure, and I think that says a lot, especially after nearly 2 years of Zoom church. Now, I want to emphasize something very important. It is amazing that we had this technology available to us at this time, and that we had so many people willing to do the hard work of bringing us together in a virtual space. But let's face it, Zoom services had their unique quirks. And in that spirit, I'd like to offer a short, dramatic presentation, a sort of Greek chorus tragicomedy that I hope captures a little bit of what will remain memorable about these virtual worship experiences. So I'd like to invite my cast members up at this time.
Welcome, everyone, to South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society's Zoom Church, where we are together, even though we are apart, and have started to forget what everyone looks like below the neck. Our service today is a collaboration involving many people, including our minister, our musicians, all of you watching from home, and the Zoom programmer who decided to launch an update 15 minutes ago that will now place all the controls in a slightly different place and confuse everyone. We would like to light our chalice. If you have a chalice at home, you can light it at this time or run frantically into the other room to get it because you forgot to have it ready by your computer. At this time, we will unmute everyone so we can share the warmth of community. And now we're muting everyone. Now we'll play our opening hymn, which was pre-recorded earlier, and our Zoom runner will share that with everyone in such a way that we can see all of their computer tabs and what they've been shopping online for this morning.
Beautiful music. Thank you. Beautiful music. Thank you.
Oh, somebody else.
It's now time for our story for all ages. So please gather your children from whatever room in the house they ran to. Yes, it's okay if they're still in their pajamas. No, we're not playing Minecraft on the computer right now. Honestly, they probably know how to work Zoom better than you do, so they should be available for tech support anyway. Great. Now that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 children and 20 black screens, I can share the story for all ages. Zoom runner, can I be made host to share my screen? Zoom runner?
Sorry, on it.
So I was like, what am I supposed to get vegan cheese? And Whole Foods isn't ethical. You're unmuted. We can hear you.
And that concludes our story for all ages. I hope to see all of our South Valley children later this week for virtual game night because I know for sure these children are not getting enough screen time.
And now we will take an offering for our community, or at least talk about it, because usually you give at a different time and, in other ways. But remember, when we get back together, we will be passing those baskets, and we'll try to pass them to you, like Scott said. Here's our offertory song.
Beautiful music. Thank you. Beautiful music. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm so happy to be with you all today. For our opening words, I'd like to share these inspiring thoughts from...
You're muted. Can't hear you. You're muted. We can't hear you.
And I hope you can take that important lesson with you throughout your week. For today's sermon, I'd like to take on one of the most challenging subjects we've ever talked about in church. It's something that I know everybody needs to hear, and I believe that you'll always remember where you were when we discussed...
You're frozen. Bad connection. You're frozen. Bad connection.
And And I think you'll agree that this object that I'm holding right now, sorry, is the key to the entire subject. Indeed, it's something that each of us has in our lives and needs to think about in a really profound way.
Your camera's off, we can't see you. Your camera's off, we can't see you.
Is there some kind of ghost in Zoom?
So, in conclusion, we're all going to be breaking out into breakout rooms now to discuss this topic in detail. So I hope you're all paying very close attention, because this will be the focus of our services for the next 6 months.
Actually, we're going to cut that portion of the service for now. I invite you all to extinguish your chalices and go in peace, and be grateful that we're going back to person and never have to deal with these technical difficulties again. Wait, I just got a phone alert. New COVID variant? No.
You're muted. Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
I want to offer big thanks to my cast members, to Reverend Laura, to Brenda, to Elena, to Joshua, to Tom, and to Chris, and especially to Elena, my co-writer on the script. Thank you so much. Okay, after that, I feel the need to say it again. We're deeply grateful for the fact that we had Zoom church at all, and that this exaggerated interpretation does not discount the work that was done by so many people to make sure that we weren't separated from one another completely for the better part of 2 years. Because we were able to have meaningful experiences and remain a community, rather than just a bunch of people who occasionally bump into each other on Sunday mornings. Those bonds are strong, and that strength has been clear to those of us who have chosen to join us as new congregants or even become members over the past 2 years. It's a remarkable testimony to what we offer that visitors could recognize it even when we were figuring things out on the fly, using park pavilions and the backyard for services or returning to Zoom yet again. We are resilient, and I think that's worth giving ourselves a round of applause for. And we should all feel good about continuing to support this community in so many different ways. Last year, smack dab in the middle of this pandemic, members of this community pledged more than $170,000 within the 5 weeks of the official pledge drive. This year, I'm happy to share that we have exceeded that total with a current pledge total of over $178,000. I can't be certain because I only have data going back to 2014, but it's possible this is our highest pledge drive total ever. But I don't want to get too cocky about that figure because it is still a bit short of our target, partially a result of some other income items like basket collections falling short of our budgeting. In that particular case, I think it's more attributable to many weeks without physical baskets rather than to our baskets wandering ways. There are several individuals who let me know that they needed to wait just a bit longer to finalize their pledge amount, the tax filing deadline falling inconveniently outside of our pledge drive calendar, so I'm very confident that we can get even closer to that target figure. So we have a lot to celebrate. We have an amazing sense of continuity considering that in less than 2 years, we have a new minister, a new music director, a new director of religious exploration, a new RE assistant, and a new office administrator. We're bringing back exciting parts of our community, like our bell choir. We continue to gather as a community for our individual spiritual growth, to act together for social justice, to be a safe place for those who don't always feel that they have a safe place in other communities of faith. There is nothing about those things, I think, that suggests the need for roasting. I think it calls for toasting. So I'd like everyone to raise whatever beverage you have with you. and offer a toast to what we have accomplished in these strange, remarkable 2 years and what we still hope to accomplish going forward. All right, thank you very much.
All right, that's it. Just kidding. Thank you very much to Scott and to the Big Event team for pulling this together. And I hope you all also are really enjoying our new food trucks. That is such a wonderful new ministry that we are doing here at South Valley. And we're looking forward to expanding that in the months to come and adding some tables and just really sort of celebrating the land that we're actually on here. So eat up. And we're going to extinguish our chalice, and then our band is going to celebrate and send us out on our way until we gather again in less than 12 hours for flower communion. So with this, I want to invite everyone to extinguish the chalice with our traditional words. So please join me in, we extinguish our chalice, but not the warmth of community, the truth, and G of action. We hold each other in our hearts until we meet again.
Annika had the same opinion. So Rainbow first. You guys ready? All right, capo over second fret. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? And what's on the other side? Rainbows are visions, they're only illusions, and rainbows have nothing to hide. I've been told, and some choose to believe it, and I know they're wrong, wait and see. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Who said that every wish would be heard and answered, and wished on the morning star? Somebody thought of that, and someone believed it, and look what it's done so far. What's so amazing that keeps us stargazing? What do we think we might see? Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me.
Have you been half asleep? And have you heard voices? And I've heard them calling my name. Is this the sweet sound that calls to young sailors? The voice might be one and the same. I've heard it too many times to ignore it. It's something that I'm supposed to be. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. La da 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 dee, da 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 doo. All alone at the end of the evening, when the bright lights faded to blue, I was thinking about a woman I know that I never knew. You know, I've always been a dreamer, spend my life running round, and it's so hard to change, can't seem to settle down. But the dreams I've seen lately keep on turning out and burning out and turning out the same. So put me on a highway, show me a sign, and take it to the limit one more time. You can spend all your time making money. You can spend all your love making time. If it all falls to pieces tomorrow, would you still be mine? And when you're looking for your freedom, nobody seems to care. You can't find the door, can't find it anywhere. There's nothing to believe in. Still you're coming back, you're running back, you're coming back for more. So put me on a highway and show me the sign. Take it to the limit one more time. used to care. You can't find the door. You can't find it anywhere. There's nothing to believe in. Still, you're coming back. You're running back. You're coming back for more. So put me on a highway and show me a sign and take it to the limit one more time. Take it to the limit. Take it to the limit. Take it to the limit one more time. Take it to the limit. Take it to the limit. Take it to the limit one more time. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Please make sure you clear your food containers. I hope we have sufficient garbage can space, but please let me know if we don't. And if anyone who can stay for a few minutes, we need to get back into Sunday service configuration and, take the tables down. So if you have a few minutes, please do. But otherwise, thank you, and we'll see you soon.
We're in the round. In the round.
Is it off? Play it.
Fun to be here.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.